Welcome, truth seekers and trailblazers, to the Bigfoot, Wildman Boogers show, the podcast where shadows move, legends breathe, and Bigfoot might be closer than you think. Every week, we trek into the unknown, dive into the eyewitness accounts, and break down the evidence and explore the mystery behind North America's most
elusive is the word we're looking for.
We're gonna have to edit that.
We're here to bring you real encounters and all the wild, weird, and wonderful things that go along with Bigfoot, Wildmen, and Boogers. Whether you're a diehard believer, a backyard camper, or just curious, we're thrilled to have you with us.
Before we begin, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It helps us build the tribe and bring even more wild encounters out of the woods and into your ears. Now grab your gear, steady your nerves, and let's take that first step into the woods with the man, the myth, the legend, RPG.
Good evening, ladies.
Welcome.
Oh, this is the lovely campfire we're around. Lovely campfire.
Right. Exactly. So, less than a month, you're going to be in Missouri with us. I can't wait.
Yeah, that's some prime habitat you're living in there. So I'm hoping that we, fingers and imagine my toes crossed, 4 crosses.
Right.
Yeah, we get some good action, or at least have some kind of experience that bonds us forever.
Yes. Well, I'm sure you've seen it recently, the activity over in Poplar Bluff, Missouri, that Matt has put the side-by-side pictures of out. And
BFRO, baby, BFRO. Exactly.
I'm hoping, that I get to go take care of that in a couple of weeks. So, all that good stuff. This time of the year, this part of the country, super active. So,
yeah. Everybody's fattening up for the winter,
right? You got to be out moving and hustling to get the grub so that you're good to go. Huh? Exactly. So tell me, how did you get started in the whole cryptids?
Well, I've always been a weirdo. I used to call myself a military brat, and I was. We moved around a lot, but there's this amazing book that I was turned on to called Third Culture Kids. And it's for people like myself that we moved, but then we would come back to our home base, so to speak, hometown, and then move and come back. So I have roots, but I also don't have roots. I can make friends and fall in love and, go on adventures real quick, but at the same time, I can withdraw just as fast. So it creates a certain persona. And as you're trying to figure out how to navigate the world as someone that doesn't have a solid base, it's kind of a wild ride, and you get picked on a lot. You're the new kid in school, so everybody picks on you, and you don't have any friends yet. And you got to infiltrate the friend networks and stuff. And anyway, 1, you do things to be cool, and 2, I spent a lot of time alone. So I spent a lot of time in the woods, and then when you find out about that there could be monsters and creatures in the woods or aliens in the sky, I used to tease myself or go into haunted houses to try and be cool for these kids. And they'd be like, no one's gone in that house. That's an old insane asylum. There's like 1,000 people died in there. And I'm like, oh, really? I'll go to the top floor. Would you be my friend? And I would do it. And I'd be scared to death. Don't get me wrong. But what I didn't realize is in my attempt to make friends, in my attempt to fill my boredom, because I'm a very social animal, as all primates are, I was becoming addicted to fear, right? Like the one thing that no one really talks about in what we do is that there is a rush that comes with this. There is an addiction to going in, doing something that we perceive as scary, and then coming out and being like, "Ooh," I feel like when you return from that mini rite of passage, you're a stronger, better version of yourself. And so I fell in love with that at a young age. And my dad was stationed in Maine, and mom didn't want to move. I don't want to move. Little Compton's great. Then she gets there. She's like, I don't want to move. I want to stay here for the rest of my life. Fun stuff. But we were commuting for the first year, back and forth. Every weekend, we'd either go up to see dad, or dad would come back to see us. And long story short, we were coming home, and on the side of the freeway, they have these massive like cutouts of rock where they just barreled right through for some reason. No, we're not going to go around. We're going right through. Let's
Yeah,
do some, right. Thank you, Alfred Nobel. Great job.
Yeah.
And there was this thing standing up there, and it was tall, massive, you know, and just standing there. And I remember my first thought was like, it's a billboard or a bear, you know, like I didn't understand the sloped shoulders, the ears, the head, you know, I didn't understand any of that at that point as a kid. I just saw like a tall person.
Like, what's up
That's what
there?
it looked like.
Right.
And I was just like, well, and you know, this is before seatbelts, you know, sorry, Mom, for giving you away, but you know, I'm up in the back. I'm actually, come to find out, I was actually
rode in
keeping
the truck
them awake. Yeah, on the long ride home, you know, so I was actually being a hero, but also out of my seat. And I just happened to look, and I watched it, and how do you know like something's real, right? It's because we have this rich history to our lives, but how many things do you actually remember? How many things stay with you, right? And I'm a young kid. What grade was I in? What time was it? Like 5th grade, maybe. Anyway, and I'm looking and watching, and just as I'm gonna like turn around and be like, it's just a billboard, something, because it was silhouetted. It turned and walked back into the woods, and I was like, oh, it's a giant man, you know, there's a giant man up there. It was a giant bear, like it was giant. And of course, Mom's like, shut up, sit down, and put your seatbelt on, right?
Right.
That was thrilling, but it wasn't until later when that book came out, that Time Life series, where on the front of it, the Encounters book, where there's a silhouetted Bigfoot, and and I saw that, I was like, that's what I saw.
That was it. That was it. And that kind of, I don't know, maybe that was the biggest hook. It's all blurry looking back into the past and whatnot. I love ghosts. I love sea serpents. And then I fell in love with Bigfoot, and one thing led to another. And my brother and I had a show. We tried to get it out in the air about our family's adventures, looking for these things and our passion for it. And it didn't happen to go, but we did pickups for Spike TV at the time. I don't know if you remember girls jumping on trampolines, but it's in the collective memory. And we did pickups, and we were like, who are we going to put on the show, right? Because these shows on TV make you think like we're out there and everybody's stoic and shooting blue magnum at the camera, and everyone's, you know, let me, as you guys know, let me enlighten the viewers to what a real Bigfooting thing is. Are we there? Are we there to kick ass and do a great job and gather information? Look, yes, but we're also there to have a good time. Because if you even think for a moment that if they are in the vicinity, they don't know you are there, and they are fully aware of everything that you're doing, then you're a fool in my book. Or you're just new to the process and you don't understand. The greatest thing you can do is just go camp and have a good time and be alert and be aware and take little side hikes by yourself and listen and be present. But yeah, anyway, long story short, we were like, who are we going to bring with us? Who is like us? Who's full of energy? Who wants to go out and have fun, but also do some serious research? And my brother was friends with this a guy named Jensen, an editor, and he said, well, there's only one man for that, and that's James Bobo Fay. And we were like, James Bobo Fay? I'm like, all right, we're in. Bobo, you had me at Bobo. And we actually went. Oh yeah, dude, he was amazing. We went and filmed at Mount Pinos with him and Yams. I don't know about Yams, but he's the music man at festivals, and we went and had an amazing time. And to be honest, you know, we wouldn't really tell the truth a long time ago, but this is when we were younger. We partied harder than you're supposed to. I mean, let's just say, but we partied so hard that here's another thing people aren't going to be honest with you about, to the viewers. You want to bond with someone forever, go Bigfooting, but party. You know, party and still get the job done. And that's what we did with Bobes. We partied, but we filmed all night right into the morning. And he's like, man, I've never been with anyone that partied that hard and got the job done. You guys are ridiculous and incredible. But boom, that bond that we did in one night, he went on to have his show, as we all know. Finding Bigfoot went on, you know, one of the most special places in our hearts. And after a season and a half or two, he called and he said, RPG, we need your positive energy out here, man. We're killing each other. This show it's a grind, man. We don't know what we're doing. Please come. And then I went. And then it just, I feel like I went and got my PhD in Bigfooting from there forward. My focus on everything, because I love everything, began to, you know, come to a point with Bigfoot, which is awesome because of all of them, you know, in my opinion, relic hominids, we have the best chance of eventually proving them to be real. So, sorry, long ramble, but you know, that's the nutshell. Good ramble.
That's exactly what we're looking for, you know.
Oh, okay, good.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, we want to know what got you there, because so many people, you know, we just jump into, oh, what was your experience? And
sure.
Right.
You know, you never tell us, you know, what got you there. You know, I mean,
Yep.
You don't just one day wake up and go, I'm a researcher.
I love
You know,
Bigfoot.
there's something that got you there. There's a reason you got
Yeah.
to that point. So,
Right.
you know, and everybody's got their reason. So that's really interesting. So the first time you ever saw one was when you were a kid. So have you
Yeah.
had any more sightings as you've come along?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Once we got on the show, you know, the beauty of that, and I wish it for all of you Bigfooters, is you get a chance to go to all the greatest Bigfoot hotspots in North America for the most part.
Oh, for sure.
And
For sure.
and if you're really lucky, you get to places that they've more recently had activity, so that
Right.
you're there kind of at the right time. Like we're hoping is going to happen when I come up with you guys. Like there's going to be something going on. So, oh yeah. And you know, I talk about it now. You're not supposed to then. You're there to do a job. I'm there to work.
Right.
And I worked my way up when I got on that show, from the very bottom of that show all the way up to producing that final episode in Bluff Creek, which will always go down as one of my favorite things I've ever done in my life. And I quickly learned that, like, okay, I'm not allowed to do any research while I'm on the show. Sure, I'm not going to do any research, but I'm in a Bigfoot hotspot. And that's just a sidebar. That's what I'm excited about when I come to you, because what I have learned in my research is if you're going to go Bigfooting, surround yourself with people that believe, that are completely open and ready to the experience. Because if you don't, your odds, which are already super slim, are going to go way down. So you work on a show, the majority of people working on that show are there just for a paycheck, or they even think it's stupid. So, which really is probably just fear-based. They didn't spend enough time like pursuing fear and overcoming it. But yeah, pretty quickly as the show went on, the team, whatever direction the team would go, because my theory is they know we're there. You know, the indigenous peoples we work with say they know you're there. You know, you talk to anyone that's done it long enough, they're like, they know you're there. Good luck. They would head off one direction, and all I would do is just walk to the other side of camp where we are. You know, you go 50, 100 yards, just get away from camp so no one knows what I'm doing, because I don't want to get fired on the best job of my life. And I would stand there. And more times than not, like if there's a ridge or there's water or whatever, I would hear 1, 2, 3, whatever things come running down. You just hear them. And every time it would it's thrilling. It would be thrilling. And they would run and they would just stop 20, 30, 40 yards away on the other side of the river in the deeper brush, but just far enough to be safe. And you could hear them. You'd hear them rustling slightly. Sometimes you'd hear light breathing, but something's there. So if you're telling me bears or big cats or, you know, which maybe sometimes do that, but we are in prime Bigfoot habitat where people have had sightings. We are making Bigfoot calls. We are like a big screen TV showed up in the woods with this ridiculous sights. Everyone smells. It's like, we must just be so obvious, right? And suddenly one person of that group though is going over and using mind speak, leaving a little offering and trying to like really communicate. And in my opinion, it's trying to communicate the way nature communicates, which is in subtlety. Nature isn't, it isn't giant alien spaceships and Bigfoot running in and destroying the house and killing everyone. That's not how nature works. Nature is very subtle and quiet because you want to minimize risk. Everything out there is trying to move slowly and quietly and avoid risky stuff. So you have this loud group, stinky group. I mean, people are out there, you know, not smoking cigarette. Like, it's just like, it's at first you don't get it. You just think this is what you do. And then you begin to realize, wait, okay, you can learn so much from people, but then at some point you have to start becoming a mentor yourself, a luminary yourself, and start compiling what works. And anyway, silence and being present and being respectful. We're in their house. That's like the biggest thing. Like if these things are intelligent, which I would swear they are, and you're not showing respect, why the hell would I talk to you if you walk into my house and you just make a mess of it and you demand that I see you, you know, and you yell, you're basically yelling at me.
Right.
It just seems it's counterintuitive to me. So anyway, by doing that, I had all these brief encounters. Now, would you like me to go into like one where I actually believe I saw something or whatnot?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. My favorite one is, well, there's two favorites. There's one that comes towards the end of the run, and there's one that comes my very first show that I went out in remote Arizona. And I just remember pulling in, and you come in, and this herd of elk came over the road, and we're on a logging road, and it's like nearly vertical on the other side. And this herd of elk come up over, and in a full sprint, straight down this thing that I get $100, Ryan, run down that. I'd be like, no, I'm not going to break an ankle.
I'm not doing it.
Full sprint. And these animals were so massive and so majestic. I always say it's na 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 na.
Yeah,
right? You're just like, and you're like, and well, there's your sign, right? There are animals so large there that a giant could be feeding on them. So, okay, food source, great. Yeah. Also, wildly remote. People have, why haven't we seen Bigfoot? Why, it should be easy. Everyone's got phones, everything. It's like, what people don't understand, there's like over 700 million wild acres out there that nobody's a part of. We're all huddled around cities and towns around the fire. Like, we have no idea. There's over 700 million. Yeah, and there's also 700 million, over 700 million mountainous regions. So it's just so vast, and I wish people could take more of an omniscient view of it. But anyway, so we're in one of those wild areas, and we come out, and it's my first episode. It might have been my second, but I'm pretty sure it's my first episode. But anyway, and I'm so excited. I'm like, nipples hard. I'm so excited. I'm just like, this is amazing. Like, oh my God, I'm getting peed to Bigfoot with the upper echelon, the top dogs of Bigfooting. Like, I couldn't believe my luck, right?
Right.
Which is a message to people. Always be a bridge. Don't burn bridges. Always be a bridge. Make as many friends as you can, and be genuine. So anyway, we're out there, and they're down, and so it's this clearing that goes up, and the logging road goes around where it just tucks into the woods, and right where it tucks in the woods, right before it, is this spring. It's just very barely bubbling, but you can hear it because it's so quiet out there. You can hear the slight bubbling sound. Pretty amazing. And then it just keeps going. The trail wraps around and keeps going up, all the way up to this mesa, way up at the top, like, I don't know, half a mile away, whatever it is. So they're at the bottom, and they're about getting ready to do a call. And I'm like, I can't believe they're going to do a call. This is the coolest thing ever. And the dude I'm hanging out with is like one of the people on a show, which he's just there to collect a paycheck. He thought it was stupid. This is the dumbest thing ever, but you're going to pay me to travel. I ain't going to complain, because travel's the best person. Wearing full trench coat, glasses, just, we call him trench coat mafia, and that's a bad reference, but that's what he looked like back in the day. And like, oh man, this guy goes postal, we're all in trouble. And so I'm standing with him. The last guy you want to have an experience with, I'm standing with. But also at the same time, if you want someone that kind of can help verify what you did, it's the person that doesn't believe and doesn't want it at all, right? Like me, I'm overzealous, where he's like, no, not true. So they make a call. Bobo makes this amazing call, right? And you just like, once again, I wish you could have all been. I wish we had a time machine, a Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure phone booth. We could be there, and you could go, oh, and this is when Bobo was making like Bobo calls, and and it just echoed out, and I'm standing there like, and Steve's like, shut up, calm down, dude. And then no lie, once again, this phenomenon, when you're in nature and stuff like that, unless you're being stalked, everything very slowly moves away from you. Nothing wants anything to do with you. They're like, ooh, great white hunter with thunder sticks. But from the top of the ridge, 2, maybe 3, but I definitely know 2, come running down from the top of the ridge, because you can hear them. They're sprinting, because rocks are sliding. You hear them. And now here's the genius about nature, right? Like people say the red wolves are gone in Texas, or at least they did back when we were filming the show. And you talk to anyone local, they'll be like, no, they're not gone. They just tell everyone that. And you know what was amazing about nature? And these are just wolves. The only time they would communicate as they were moving and hunting is when the train would go by, and the train would do, they would howl. The second to do, the howl would stop. Brilliant, right? So whatever was coming down from the ridge was coming perfectly in line with the spring, with the bubbling, perfectly in line. So if you weren't paying, if I wasn't there, being present, being like, I'm looking for Bigfoot, like, gotta pay attention, you would have missed it. You literally would have missed it, because it wasn't constant rock slides. It wasn't constant, but you'd hear it and you could tell. Anyway, so these things are coming. So now they're getting closer. And remember, this is most likely my first show. And I'm like, oh my God, we found him immediately. This is going to be the greatest job of my life. I cannot believe it. Okay. How can I be an ambassador? What do I do? What do I do besides shit my pants? And so, and nobody's looking. So I tap Steve, and Steve's got the boom mic, and he's just sitting there like, oh my God. And I point, and he just looks away. And then I listen longer. It's getting closer and closer. I'm like, tap, tap, tap. So he's like, dude, and he turns the boom mic, and it's the only time we ever worked with him where I saw anything change in his expression to like, huh. So he actually turns. So now myself and Steve are just watching and listening as it's coming. Now remember, typical Bigfooting, it's that perfect time of day where the shadows dance. You know what I mean? The parabolia begins to come into play. So you're watching, but it's obvious. It's coming. Look behind. They're busy filming, because that's the thing about TV too. You're there to work. You're not there. So I was in a lucky position where I'm supposed to be working, but really I'm researching. And it's coming. And then right at the end, you hear a slide. And this one big ass hairy arm comes out as if it went a little too far and then pulls back into the darkness. And I'm like, oh my God.
Wow.
And Steve was like, he was like Russian metal. He was a piece of titanium. He was just frozen, like, oh my God, is this real? And then as kind of quick as it happened, because here's another thing for people, if you've never had a sighting, if you've never been that close, when it happens, the first thing you do, even as a true believer, is like, I know they're real. You dismiss it. You're like, nope, didn't happen. Couldn't happen. That couldn't happen. Did that happen? And you're immediately like, because it's quick. It's like an accident. It's like that. And then it's over. And you're like, what? I want more. Like, and I look at Steve, and we just sat there for a sec, and you don't know what to do. And then he relaxed his body, and he turned and he went back to work. Like, and I was like, did you see that? And he's like, I didn't see anything.
Didn't see anything. No, nothing happened. Yeah.
Didn't see a word. Then the whole team comes up, and now imagine, you know, your first day on the job, I'm bouncing up and down. I pull Bobo aside because I want to tell him, I'm like, Bobo, I just saw one. They're here. And he's like, and he just looks at me. He's like, of course you saw one on your first day. Shut up. Don't act like that. You're going to get fired. And then they all walk off. And then I'm alone. And the whole team's going. And I'm just sitting there going, I am on a Bigfooting show with Bigfooters, and no one's going to believe me. And the only person I saw it with is going to deny it. Mm-hmm. And that's a true story. Yep. And that's a true story. And I live that. And that's, so when you go, even if you go with people that are believing or whatnot, you literally could be the one that happened to be looking this way. They're starting to turn, and then it's gone, and they miss it. And even your best friends may say, you're bullshit. So just remember, this is a very personal thing until we get a dead body or there is one in a cage, which both are horrible scenarios. But until that happens, it's very personal. And so just be so grateful to the universe, to whatever you believe in, that when you do have it, and you will never have a bad day squatching. That's all I can tell you. Because trust me, I was pissed. And I spent time angry. I'm like, dude, I'm on a Bigfoot show. Nobody believes me. What, did I come here to lie? Like, I've waited my whole life. You know what I mean? If I don't see one, I don't see one. But if I see one, I see one.
Yeah, anyway. Exactly.
Yeah. You saw shadows. You saw a bear. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So
that's great.
The class A's.
Exactly. That's great.
Yep.
So what was your other one that happened toward the end?
Oh, yeah. The other one's awesome. So that's so people rag on, you know, reality TV and stuff, and but there is some good that comes from it, right? So this young man in Turner, Maine. So if you've ever seen the Turner, Maine Bigfoot, it is this daytime sighting where there's a Bigfoot walking back and forth moaning. So what was interesting about that is it created discussions, very temporary, because then you couldn't really touch upon it, but are there special needs Bigfoots? Are they neurodivergent? You know, is that why they can use telekinesis, like the telepathy tapes? If listeners have never heard of, or viewers have never heard of the telepathy tapes, check that out. Right. What's really fascinating is they've proved that some neurodivergent people can communicate with mind speak, with their mind, with telepathy, which indigenous peoples say that they can do. So anyway, long story short, it's walking and moaning. So either are they neurodivergent, or do they also emote? Do they have emotion? You know, do they get sad and stuff like that? Which, if they're an intelligent species, you would think so. So anyway, he gets his footage. He shares it with everyone in school. And of course, what happens? He gets picked on. You know what I mean? Like the shame game in America is so strong.
On point.
So, yep. Parents even have to take him out of school for a little bit, like the bullying, like all that's so bad. So we show up and we stand in solidarity with him. And we get there and we believe him. So that's another thing. Like, for those of you holding on to Bigfoot stories, encounters, or any kind of paranormal supernatural encounter, find people that you can share it with that will listen and that will believe. It's really important and it's cathartic to do that, because holding that in, it festers, and you don't. The truth, everything should be in the light, right? Except Bigfoot. They love the dark. Damn ambush. Yeah. So we show up and we go out in the woods, and that night's very active. They hear things, knocks, calls. They think they're getting close. But it also happens to be like, of all the nights I've been in the woods, this was the darkest. It was the clouds had dropped from the sky and they were in the woods. So we were in the clouds in the dark past midnight, 2 to 3 in the morning, midnight to 3 in the morning. And I mean, visibility was like here.
Yeah.
If you're lucky. And of course it has to be like pine forest. You have all these branches, these witches' fingers that are just like, yes, give me your eye. I want your eye. We should all have been wearing goggles. I'm sure Moneymaker was. He had his ski poles, goggles on,
Yeah, right.
you know him. But they went out, and just like this, I know I'm admitting all these things. I don't think they can fire you after the fact. Like, hey, we're going to rehire you to fire you for doing what you did. But there was a logging road that went out again, and it went down. It went like 30 yards, 40 yards, and then turned, maybe a little less, and then kind of went around the trail. Well, they came back in, and what did I do? I went out. My theory is they were like a lure. We were like fishing for Bigfoot. They were stinky. They were loud. Some people say they can't see red lights. I'm like, okay, can't see the red light, sure, but they can smell you, and they can definitely hear you. Yeah. Some heavy breathers. Let me just say, there's not fitness hasn't quite reached the entire Bigfoot crowd quite yet, but hopefully it does. So they come back in. They're tired. Boba walks right by. Where's the soup? I'm like, oh, it's over there near the thing. And I go out. Now, this is a longer involved story, but I'm wearing. I like to dress, right? Like, I think every day should be. What if it's your last? So I'm dressed. I got a Jack Sparrow like wig on, and I'm basically dressed like Jack Sparrow out in the woods. Captain Squatch Sparrow, you can call me, or Captain Jack Daniels, depending on where we're at. Yeah, so I'm out there, and I go out into the woods, and I go, okay, so if they're there, I'm going to do this. But I tried something new. I said, I want a genuine experience. So instead of having all my gear on, I took my headset off, showed it to the woods, put it down. Took my phone out, showed it to the woods, put it down. Took all my gear and tech off, and was just like, I just want a real experience. I'm here for that, and I hope I'm ready, right? Well, I wasn't ready. You think you're not afraid, and you can do this a bunch, but dude, let me tell you. So I had 2 apples, because we worked with a lot of Native Americans, and when we would go on the reservations, they would always say the same thing, like I'm mirroring. I'm just giving you their wisdom, which is be respectful. Before you head to a location, visualize the map, visualize the area, and reach out. Reach out to the Bigfoot that are in the area, let them know you're coming, and say, hey, if I'm ready or you would like to interact, we'll be there. If not, we're only gonna be there temporary. So thank you for letting us be there. But we'll be gone. So don't be there if you don't want to be interacted with. And that's all you can do. It's literally just like it's so easy and simple, and people think it has to be complicated. And then when you get there, you leave an offering, because what do we do usually when we visit people in their houses? We break bread. We bring a gift, and it doesn't. I tell people too, bring something organic apple, or even bring candy bars. Zigzags. There's been all sorts of different things that have worked before, right? Because I don't think you're always interacting with the older ones. I think mostly we're interacting with the young ones. The teenagers, the ones that are willing to break the rules a little bit, right? They're curious. They're still learning and teasing, and I dare you to get close and touch one. So I had 2 organic apples, and I took one and I threw it, and it literally hit a tree like right next to me. Like, that's how dark it was. I didn't even know. I was like, oh my God. So now I'm in my head, I'm like, oh, you look like an idiot. Like, you're this big Bigfooter, and you can't even like orientate yourself in the dark. And I take the other one, and I go,
look at him. Ha ha ha.
Yeah. And then at least maybe I'm funny, but then I throw the other one, and it goes right down the trail. And then where it wrapped around, because I hadn't gone out with them that night, it lands in water. I mean, it was, like I said, it was just wet, and the clouds in the sky, and it was probably a foot or 2 of water. And when it splashed in the water, because it was so dark, because I knew they were having experiences, it scared the shit out of me. I'll be honest. I was like, oh. So now I went from hitting a tree and feeling like an idiot, like, because I didn't even see. I mean, I'm literally, it's like right here. And then
A water plunk scares you.
The water plunk scares me, and I'm literally shaking. I'm like, but it's a great moment, because if you don't do these things, you will not learn about yourself. And I am a firm believer that on the other side of fear, true peace, true zenness in the woods present, is the communication that we are all searching for. And some people get there easier. I don't know what's the age on this audience, but there's some tricks that you can get there a little faster than just through meditation, psilocybin. But microdosing.
Yep.
Well, microdosing breaks down the barrier and allows someone like me who has this fear. I brought up with all these aunts that every house was haunted. Don't sleep in that room. And then what's the room they put you to bed in? That room. And you're like, oh my God. So I have this innate fear. But with a microdose, a healthy dose, it allows you to kind of jump ahead. Anyway, I wasn't microdosed that night. I was scared to death. So that happens. And then I'm like, okay, so what do I do now? This is weird. So I get down on one knee, because with great apes, with gorillas, if you get down and you've been in trouble with the large male, and you put your hand out, if they say it's okay, they'll come and run their hand on your hand, and then you're good. You're good. All right, we're good.
Right.
A fist bump. So, and once again, nobody knows what works. Well, let's say the Smithsonian and the government and rogue black op groups
Somebody
that go around,
knows.
know. But we don't know. Yeah, somebody knows. But so I get down, and no lie, this is no lie, on the darkest, scariest, craziest night ever, I get down and I literally throw it, scares me, gather myself, get down on one thing, and I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, okay, well, what? And then no lie, something walks out of the woods, kaploosh, kaploosh, in the water, and then you hear it pick the apple up, and then kaploosh, kaploosh, silence.
Wow.
So I'm on the ground, and once again, I didn't expect it to happen. I'm literally there. They told me, they walked in saying, they're out there. They're out there. We just didn't get them. They're out there. We got some recordings, hopefully. You're like, no. And then I noticed it was like an earthquake. My arms start shaking. My whole body starts shaking, and I'm scared. I am scared to death. I am overjoyed. I am every feeling, emotion that you can have all at the same time. It was an avalanche running through me. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe I was that close. And I always say, like, if you tell me that there are rogue billionaires running around with $1 million gear, like just messing with us wherever we went, that is absolutely a possibility. But why? Right? Like, why?
Right.
And it was so dark that, like, you had to have been eating deer liver and getting a lot of extra retinol to be seeing in that weather. Let me just tell you. And so I sat there for a bit until I got under control again. I got my fear under control, because, the first thing you tell yourself is, well, okay, if this thing wanted you dead, you can't even see right here. It could just come up and snap the neck and leave. So you are safe. It's just curious, and you're curious. So calm down, get yourself together, figure something out. So I'm like, okay, what do I do? And I used to not tell this part, because this part was, once again, it's super subtle. It's nature. It's gentle. So I started feeling around on the ground for rocks, and I would find little rocks. So I started throwing them over to him, right? And I don't remember how many I threw, but I was throwing them. And then all of a sudden I was like, wait. And I could have swore that right when mine hit, one landed right next to me. And I was like, no, yeah. So I did it again, and it happened again. And then I must have, because, same reason I can't astral project. I've done it twice, but then I get excited. And the second you get excited, you're right back in this flesh suit. And I must have got excited, because then I went to throw it again. Nothing. But I swear to you. And there were other elements where I could have swore, like, because I had that wig on, I had this thing. And at one point I took that off, and I heard, it like excitement, like it couldn't believe that I took it off, because I looked. If you would have seen me from behind, like, I was muscular at the time, but I had this hat on that made it look like I had no neck, that made it look like I was a Squatch, but I obviously wasn't a Squatch. So and then so that's what's happening. So I'm having in my opinion, a genuine interaction with a relic hominid. And it's going pretty damn well. As good as, I'm getting rock throwing with me. I'm hearing some kind of breathing. There was something there. I was too scared to go forward. I couldn't really see to go forward. So as this is going on, they're looking for me. So Mike Geschwin, who is a PA on the show, he is walking along. And he's scanning the woods because Matthew Moneymaker, money, money, money. He's like, get out there and flare. They're out there. And they might have followed us back. Well, they did, Matt. And he's
Right.
scanning the woods. So now he's scanning the woods, right? And this is one of the most famous, not unknown of, I've only told a couple times that happened on the show. And he's going along, and all of a sudden he sees me in the woods. But
Right.
he checks the radios. Everyone, and like, but he's like excited because he wants, you find Bigfoot, you get the Patterson-Gimlin film, you did all right.
Yeah,
You're doing all right.
exactly.
And
Yeah.
so he sees me, and I remember I'm dressed in a way where I look different. I don't just
Right.
look like a dude out there, and all my gear's off, so you can't, you know what I mean? Like I
Right.
look like a Sasquatch kind of. Knowing me, I'm surprised I didn't strip completely naked. But anyway, so he's watching, and he's just checking it out, and he's just watching me interact, and I'm doing hand signs, which I don't know what I was doing, but I was trying hand signs. I was into sign language for a bit, which I think should be the universal language, by the way, but that's a sidebar. And
Yep.
And then he actually watches me. So when I went to throw, when I went to reach back and throw, because it was so dark, it was awkward. It was awkward to do anything because you couldn't really tell where you were in space and
Right.
time. So
Yeah.
I did this really stiff kind of caveman throw. And so even my throw looked weird. So he's now in his head, he's like, oh my God.
I found one.
No,
Yeah.
so
This one here. Yeah.
the only time this ever happened on Finding Bigfoot over the walkies, guys, we did it. Shh, clear this radio. Who is this? Mike, get off the radio. What's going on? No, guys, we found Bigfoot. It was the only time that was ever said over the radios, and all of a sudden, everyone is in a tizzy. So the whole camp is like, because it was like 2, 3 in the morning. So everyone's just,
Right.
we got to finish our final interviews. We got to finish doing our work. But man, I wish we could get back up. So now everyone's alive. So Matt Moneymaker comes running over. Wait, what? Mike Geschwin, where is he? He comes running over like a locomotive, gets him, give me that. He looks out there, and I'm still out there, still doing my thing. And he's like, Mike, you did it. You're going to be as famous as me now. You know Matt. Matt. Yeah. So, but somehow he was going to take credit. And so they just watched me for a bit, and then just for a little bit, they're watching, and then they're like, "Wait, who is that? That can't be a spot." And then, long story short, they call and they realize they can't get a hold of me, and they're like, "We can't find Ryan." And then he's like, "Ryan, is that you?" And then I turn on the thermal and look and raise my hand. And then the whole camp dies out. And that was the day that I almost got fired for doing that. The only reason I didn't get fired is because Chad thought it was hilarious that I got the whole cast so excited that they were happy to work.
We did it.
We did it.
We've done it.
Yeah,
Oh
we did
gosh.
it. We found Bigfoot.
It's
But no,
great.
they found me.
They found you, right?
And you know what's crazy is, once again, I tried to explain to them, just like that first experience. But yes, I'm sorry, it was me. But they were there, and here's what happened. And they're like, "Yeah, right. Shut up and don't ever do that again, and you're fired." I'm like, "No, you don't understand." They're like, "Do you want to be fired?" And I just sucked it back in and went back to serving soup. Cheers.
And you're exactly right. You talk about the subtle things, and that's the things that happen a lot of the time, especially in the area that we're going to go camp out when you're here. One of the things, so it's a large field, right? And we camp in the field. And at one end of the field, there's old farm equipment. Now, there's nothing on it that moves, right? It's set out there. It's all rusted. There's not moving parts, right? And in the middle of the night, you will hear tink, tink, tink. They're over there hitting that metal with something.
Ah, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Middle of the night. It's one of those things of you're like, okay, what is that? Because that's the only place that there is any metal at all.
Mm-hmm.
But they'll come up and do stuff like that. Very first time we ever camped out there, we had a small storm. And about 3 a.m, one of the girls that was with the paranormal group was in her car because she decided her cot was wet. She wasn't going to get back in the cot, right? She gets in the car. Car's parked between their tent and mine and Robert's tent. And she wakes up because she keeps hearing something that sounds like it's scratching metal, right?
Ooh.
She wakes up, looks out, and behind Robert and I's tent, she can see the head and shoulders. And she's paranormal, so she doesn't know what to do. She's afraid to take a picture because she doesn't know if it's going to charge her. She just doesn't know what to do. So she sits and watches it. It's right behind our tent, right?
Ooh.
I'm dead to the world. I've put on a conference. I've done everything for days. I'm exhausted.
It was there for you because it was in love with you. I know it was.
Oh, yeah. All right. Exactly. I'm out. Robert hears it, right?
Yep.
He looks at his phone to see what time it happened, right?
Yeah.
And so the next morning, I'm bailing out of the tent. I'm running to the porta potties. I don't have time to talk to anybody. But as I'm coming back, I'm starting to notice there's a lot of activity that morning. There's people talking, right?
Yep.
And so when I get back, Robert's like, yeah, there was something behind the tent last night.
Ooh.
And then the next people, they're like, yeah, we had something going on. And so all of a sudden, we've got all these people talking about stuff going on. And so we had Daniel Perez there. And he's like, I think there's tracks. And he starts to go. And Marty and I have to almost hogtie him to keep him out, right? We're like, no, we're going to get the tracker out and let him look, right?
Yeah.
And so we get him up. We're like, hey, and he's like, he told me later, he goes, I wanted to kill you. I knew there was nothing out there, right?
Yeah.
And I said, and you ate crow, didn't you? And I did. Because there were compression tracks in the 3-foot tall grass where that thing had walked all the way around our camp, in between our porta potties, all the way on the other side of the camp, and ended up coming under somebody's canopy because they could hear rustling and they thought somebody had come back to get their books. No, it had come under. And every one of these people looked at their phone or their watch and had a timeline of this happening in our camp.
That's cool.
That was the first year we ever camped out there.
And that's where we're going to be.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's what I say to people too. Like, imagine if you had no distractions, right? You literally just lived in nature. What would you be capable of? And what would you do with your body, with your own gifts? In my very humble opinion, they can mimic any and every sound. I don't even think they needed to hit it with a rock or a nut or anything. I think they could make the tink sound with their voice. I think they can throw their voice, because to me it makes more sense. You create the sound, which is distractionary, because if they are ambush predators, they don't want you seeing them, and they will use tactics to divert attention so that they can move, right? Like that's what I would do, and I'm not the smartest dude in the room. So yeah, I bet you they are hitting it, because it is fun. Because think about it, think of how athletic you are. If you could, all right, I'm gonna hit it from 100 yards, not even looking. You know what I mean? It's like Achilles, like Achilles.
Oh yeah, they're out there and like I said, I think you're right. I think the younger ones, not the babies, but the teenagers, let's call them teenagers,
100%.
right?
Yep.
They're like, oh, let's see how close we can get to these humans. How can we mess with them? What can we do to completely rock their world, right? And they do out there. They come in, they watch us. We were sitting on top of the hill one night. There's like 4 of us, and we're listening. I don't know, it's 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. And all of a sudden, we hear this funky elk go off. Now, we don't have elk here. They have, in the very, very, very southern part of Missouri, northern Arkansas, reintroduced elk, but not in this area, right?
Sure.
And we had this elk bugling in the middle of the night that didn't sound quite right.
Yeah.
And we're all just sitting there looking at each other going, that's not right. That's not right. That's not. No, but yeah, they do funky stuff like that, Same place they stole eggs, gentlemen. So the eggs that you buy, the large flats of them that you have to have hands to carry, right?
Oh, yeah.
Wrapped in plastic.
Yeah.
Landowner bought 2 of those, and the son wanted some eggs. He left them on the son's deck. Son was busy doing chores, forgot about the eggs, right? Comes back out the next morning. 1 whole flat of eggs is gone. Now, it's not been torn into, it's not been eaten, it's not destroyed. It's gone, completely gone.
And they never found any remnants, a trail or anything like?
No, except This was the first year we camped. 3 days later, down in the neighbor's yard, down the road a little ways, it shows up with 1 row of eggs completely intact in the yard.
Interesting, huh?
They're like, it had to be the dogs. Well,
No.
that's a
One
talented
row of untouched
dog, right?
No.
Yeah.
Dogs don't have thumbs.
No, exactly. Something with thumbs had to carry that, right? Because where it was picked up, no eggs were broken, eaten, destroyed, anything. Okay, coons will tear into everything.
Sure.
So will bears. You know, they'll make a mess, right?
Yep.
Nothing.
How about a
eggshells behind?
circus trained bear?
Those circus train wrecks that I was talking about.
All the circus train wrecks around here. That's up.
The last one was 2024. So hey.
Yeah, that's peculiar. 1 row left, and there were no teeth marks in it, right? There was nothing. This was taken. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Well, that's exciting.
And so you know what the nickname for the county that we're going to?
Oh God, what is it?
Booger County.
Booger.
I mean, there's your sign. There's your sign. There is a local name for relic hominids everywhere you go, and people just miss that, right? Like, why is it with our culture, like anything that happened in the past is just they were drunk, or that's myth, or that's just a story or tale? Like, do people not understand? Like, do we not have a true education in that everything used to be oral history? Like, we used to pass that on that way. Sometimes I think spelling and writing and all that was designed to trap us in a reality that keeps us from being able to enjoy or figure out this great mystery, Right. So, yeah, that's well, anyway, Booger County, that's awesome.
Right.
I'll be ready. I'll be ready.
Of course you will. Of course you will. But yeah, a lot of activity goes on in that area. And it has the highest bear population, right, in the state of Missouri, that county. But the gentleman that owns this property, has no bears on his property. Yeah.
And if that's like saying 2 apex predators can't coexist in the same area, and then if they are as intelligent or more so, or even lightly less than us, we coexist in bear habitats. We coexist in wolf habitats. We do. We tend to fence them, shield them, whatnot, but we're still coexisting in habitats together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
It's when he bought this property at the time, the Missouri Conservation Department was tracking bears so he could watch it, right? Yep. And he said what was interesting was the bears were all over the place except his piece of property. They would cut across the edges of it, but they didn't linger,
And there's your sign, because if they do act in what coincides with how nature works, you have one apex predator and they pee on all the trees and mark their territory, and they just say, hey, you can come in here, but it's on. And
exactly.
They respect, but they know how to respect. They're like, ooh, all right, that's a big one. I'm gonna, I'll go find a better spot. And honestly, people try to complicate it. I would say it was that simple. I would say in that particular area, you have something. Now, my next question would be, are there caves?
Oh, Missouri's the cave state.
I guess that was yes, and people. So the camps are split, right? You got your flesh and bone, or is it paranormal, supernatural? Like, never mind all that. Do they go underground or do they not? And that's another big divide amongst us researchers. And in my, once again, very humble opinion, hell yeah, they go underground. Hell yes, they operate from a place where they can stay, where they can sleep, and know that nothing, like literally nothing except earthworms, is going to possibly bother them. Because that is what I would do. Now, if you're remote enough, then yeah, whatever. But then also there are other large apex predators out there. Now, I'm not saying they're afraid of like big toms, like big mountain lions and stuff, but dude, a large mountain lion, like people say Bigfoot could beat anything. If a mountain lion gets the jump on you, it'll take out a Bigfoot. It'll take out anything if it gets to the back of that neck and then bites, which is what they do. Right. So and I would say that's pretty rare, like, and they don't need to hunt, but you want to minimize risk. That is a sign of intelligence. You want to live as long as possible so you can pass on your genetic code so that your species can move forward. Whether you're aware of that's why you're doing it or not, that's still what you're effing doing. So
Right.
underground fascinates me. How much time do we have here? I don't want to get too
We got
crazy.
about 10 minutes, but yeah, so I hope you're going to talk about that at the conference, right? Is that?
Well, yeah, I want to tease something here, and whether you want to do one more show before, or we do it at the conference. Here's what I want to throw out something that's fascinating, and I cannot wait to share it with your people, right? With your boogers. With your boogers. You guys have some beautiful boogers. But how often do new theories in the space come along, right? We've heard they could be interdimensional, they could be paranormal, right. They're flesh and bone, they're this. But like, when is a new theory that's really intriguing that honestly, once I break it down for you, both science and pseudoscience agree this is real? And that's awesome. So here's my tagline. Here's my, what do they call it? Clickbait. Here's my
clickbait us.
Yeah, I'm going to clickbait you. Has Bigfoot found the fountain of youth? And I would argue, yes, it has. There is a reason Bigfoot is larger than us, more muscular than us, and seems to, like, if they get shot, they seem to come back after that. But they're not 40, 60 feet tall. They're just 8 to maybe 13 feet tall, like somewhere in there, depending how big they get. But they're not super giant, but they're bigger. And what would allow them to become that size? What would allow them to live around us and in proximity with us, but yet still remain so distant and so elusive? Because yes, there are hunters. Like, we can't discredit, hunters are really good at being present. They're really good at living in the moment, and they're really good at putting all the BS aside and being present in the woods. And even they rarely have encounters until it's either upon them, you know what I mean? Or they don't even know it happened, or the deer is stolen from them. So right. I believe, and I'm throwing this to all the viewers and listeners and watchers or whatever, always keep a wide lens when you're doing your research, because we become myopic in our search. Like, I love Bigfoot, so I only read Bigfoot, I only watch Bigfoot, on this. But pull out to ghosts and sea serpents and other stuff and just random information, because I thought I was going to stumble upon a new theory by a deep dive specifically on Bigfoot, but it came from a completely different direction. It actually came from a meme, which then I was able to like dive deeper on. So just never dig your feet in the sand. That's all I can tell you. And the answers will come faster, and just stay open and loving to the process. And yes, I will share with you, I believe Bigfoot has found the fountain of youth. Some humans know about this, and it works, and I will prove that it works. And I will also talk about how the Ozarks are one of the biggest hotspots for it. Mike.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Talking about that when I was in high school.
Yeah. You'll have to come back on. Maybe we'll do a live one night.
Sure.
Maybe we can get that done, and you can discuss that, and we can do that. So, So for all you out there listening, Ryan is going to be at the conference with us. He is going to be part of the VIP night, which is October the 3rd. It's going to be held here in Ozark at the Elks Lodge. You can get tickets for that at the Eventbrite. No tickets will be sold at the door. It's only online. Day of conference is in Springfield, Missouri. And you can also get your tickets on Eventbrite for that. Still have just about 6 spots left for the camp out. If anyone's interested in that, they have to reach out to me, Ozark Mountain Bigfoot Conference on Facebook. That's the only way that you can get those tickets. But we want you to be there with us. Have a good time. Enjoy. We are going to research. We have all kinds of cool stuff going on. So I'm super excited about it. I'm glad you were able to come on with us tonight.
Yeah. May I add a couple of things, if that's okay?
Go right ahead. Go right ahead.
I want to send a big jacked hug and an ass slap to Brian King Sharp for introducing me to you. Thank you so much, Brian. I love you. Brian and I shared a moment, which I will also share with everyone. Brian and I will do it together when we were there. My Bigfoot Life, which is the story of Daniel Lee Barnett, and how this was a kid who was selectively mute, who found his voice through the love of Bigfoot. And in his journey, we went and filmed from England to Florida to the Pacific Northwest. And we created a company called Summit View Studios because with Brian, we stood on the summit of the Mecca of Bigfooting, and we had an incredible experience, which Brian and I can't wait to share with you guys. So, Brian, I love you. Thank you. Marianne is, I love me some Marianne. Don't we all? Gilligan's Island. You know who we love the most.
Oh, I knew that was coming.
You really are. You too are like Gilligan's Island. I love you both. But yeah, it's going to be fantastic. And on top of that, on top of Fountain of Youth Bigfoot, on top of Brian and I sharing a encounter that we all hope to experience when we do these things, like a genuine, like, I'm going to love you in this moment forever. I will also give you some behind the scenes of finding Bigfoot, the stuff nobody talks about, and why that show, if we would have filmed the behind the scenes, it would have been the most successful reality series of all time. So
exactly. I can't wait. I'm so excited. So, all right. Okay, tribe. That's all for this episode of the Bigfoot, Wildman, and Boogers Show. Thank you for wandering the woods of Missouri with us today.
If you enjoyed today's encounter and want to keep these legends alive, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. It helps us keep track of the wild and legendary encounters they make Missouri so special.
We'll be back soon with more mysteries, more encounters, and maybe a few surprises hiding in the shadows. Until then, keep your boots muddy, your eyes on the tree lines, and remember, show me your Bigfoot.